Yo, what's going on, guys? Gray Shamrock here. Today we're back with my good friend Khalil. Eastside K1 is what his music channel is. You guys should all check that out. Very good music. And what's going on, Khalil?
Not too much.
Oh, well, after like 5 tries of trying to get the intro correct and you give me that? Okay.
That was not pretty.
It wasn't,
The
but
five
we're going to
tries.
roll with this. We're going to roll with it. So, today we have a lot of different topics, and I'm being very loud, and it's night, so let me chill out there. And we're going to be the NPR news, where we're too close to our mics and talk with a very deep voice, even though we're probably not that deep of a voice. So, what's his on our topic list here, Khalil?
Um, got Egypt Revolution,
And
and I don't know if you've been keeping up, but the military just kicked Mercy out of office yesterday-ish.
yeah, yesterday, for
I
hours. That is.
was
So it looks like the military is now in control, strictly in control until there is a new voting system, and I believe the Constitution is also frozen right now.
yeah. I mean, I think the biggest issue will be vote rigging, because if the military is running the election, there's no way that it can be completely fair, I feel. Like, when there's people with guns telling you where to vote, they're obviously going to have a ridiculous amount of control on, like, the elections.
I see
And
what
I
you
think
mean. I see what you mean.
for the most part, Mercy was, like, internationally recognized as, like, fairly elected to some degree.
Mm.
And, like, that's a pretty big deal that he just got kicked out like that. You could argue that there were protests that he didn't get much done in, like, the, I don't know, year that he's been here.
Mhm.
And the Constitution wasn't doing much against the crazy military power that's there. It's just, I don't know, I don't see anything good coming out of military elections.
Well,
Like, yeah, go ahead.
well, what I think is, see, I'm not that well educated on this certain topic because it's not that it was such short notice. There's been a lot of there's a lot of terrain on the mountain until you get to the very top of it, the summit. But it kind of came up short notice for me, like a 3 days ago. I saw it on the news, but I really didn't get that much education out of that. So excuse me if I'm a bit incorrect here. And first off, I'm going to blame the viewer here. If you're actually going to take my words seriously and trust in me on this, then you're at the wrong Dole commentary. But just a warning. When it comes to military elections, the best way to handle it is hope that that military is not a dictator in in massive form. If the military is going to be forcing a gun to their head and say, no, vote for this person, not that person, vote here, not there, then there's going to be a lot of issues, as you know. But with the sort of revolution, as I called it, then we're going to see a lot of changes, not by just the people, but by the country itself. With the military also being involved so much in overthrowing what's his face, then I think that they're not going to be that set up, since they already overthrew a very, what's the word here, a very troubled politician.
I mean, the issue is that the military is kind of like autonomous and independent, and they obviously have their own political agenda, and like it's just not efficient to have the military run an election like that. And I think there's people that are definitely happy about like the whole military coup and how they just kind of kicked him out. But I feel like for the last really like since Mercy's been in there, they could have just said that at any time, like we're kicking you out of office, because they all the guns are the power in that nation and in that part of the world. And I don't know, maybe Mercy didn't really have any power. I mean, he didn't get too much done in terms of like reforms and like infrastructure in the politics.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that will change at all. Like, even if someone is fairly elected, like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do differently that Mercy didn't do? What are they going to do against this huge military entity that's just going to threaten to kick them out if they don't meet their demands? And the military has had demands since Mercy's been in office, and they're going to have demands whenever the next guy comes into office, and they're not going to just go away. So it might as well be a military dictatorship, because what's like these elections going to get them if there's always this military presence there that's autonomous,
Well,
that's making their own decisions?
as one of the many founding father philosophers once said, I'd rather deal with one very corrupt person than multiple. And at this point, I see what you're saying. It's pretty much just a very wide and troubled, in a way troubled, military entity. And although that is true to a degree, there will be a person that will step up someday, whether they're going to be the head of the military branch or the head of the leadership of the country, and they will demand reform, not just by the country, but for everything about the nation: the military, the morals, the education. What happened with I'll give you an example: the Berlin Wall, and this may be an extreme example here because there was no Holocaust in Egypt that caused this thing to happen, where there was two types of government. One side was Soviet, one side was Ally, that types of government. One side was you could say the exact opposite. But at one point, Germany, today's Germany, is now one. I'm rambling here, I'm sorry, but what I'm trying to get out of this is that no matter how divided, and for the most part, Egypt isn't that divided. Maybe like 75 to 80% is for the coup, but at this point, Egypt will 10 years from now will one day be just one nation. It will not be divided. I'm sorry I rambled. I'm not this educated about this topic.
I think you're trying to get at, like, maybe the benefit of having the military like have such control is that instead of like something like the Muslim Brotherhood, which has like fairly religious motivations, and their political agenda relies on the support of like the people that follow that like interpretation of politics from Islam and like Sharia law. Mm-hmm. But the military is kind of distancing itself from the various political parties that are more religious based. And because Egypt's such like a divided nation, there's Shias, there's Sunnis, there's Coptic Christians. There's a lot of different groups that are kind of divided. Mm-hmm. And if you have the military kind of calling the shots, it's kind of preventing that overly religious aspect getting into the politics.
Which is good.
And I think that's convenient for Egypt, considering that there's so many groups that have to be represented. And if you're just having the Muslim Brotherhood in power, like, not that many people are going to be happy, and they're going to be really infringing on like the Coptic Christians, especially, who are like really oppressed in that part of the world.
Right. I see what you mean. The benefit of not having to deal with all these different groups, but like I said, let me start from one point. When the new colonists, the permanent English colonists, came along to Jamestown in the United States, it was purely for religious freedom and to get away from religious persecution. At this point, I'm going to get into it. What I mean here is they went away from a group of not struggling people, but troubled people. A lot of tyrants. A lot of tyrants that were a very wide entity. Not just one king, but the parliament. And just like what happened, where they continued to defy these people. Not just one person, but the parliament. All these political parties, as you could say. And that's where the military can be compared. If the military is pushing and pushing and pushing, then the people are going to get tired and start to push back. And if the military continues to try and control them, like the Parliament and King did with the English colonists, then they're going to push even harder. Just like what happened with the Boston Tea Party, and just the massive shutdown and struggles of Boston happened in the Boston harbors, since they couldn't get any supplies for the most part. Then they still were able to push and push and push until finally they gave up, started a war. And right now, there is a. I was watching an ABC newscast like a day ago, and they were talking about one of the many fears is a Egyptian civil war, perhaps, that you could call it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think. All right. I'll talk about two things. I think the first thing worth mentioning is that if you take a step back from the situation and kind of look at the progress that Egypt has taken from the time that Mubarak was in power to like what's happening now, and like if you think about what will be happening in the next maybe decade, like it seems that in terms of stability, in terms of like safety and security for the people, that dictatorship like had so much more like it actually meant something in this part of the world, and it had that stability. They had a government, they had an authority, they had law. And like I had the opportunity to travel to Egypt before all this started happening, and when I was there, it's like it was one of the safest countries in the world by far. They have or back then they had mandatory military service for I think 3 years when you turn 18.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the safest part of the world because on every street you'd see like young men policing as part of the military. They'd be policing, they'd be like like fighting crime in the streets.
Keeping the police.
If you wanted to like walk down the street and you were a woman late at night, you could do it because it was such a safe nation.
Wow.
And like if you look at the system like now, there's really not that centralization of the authority. There's not that like political stability that you had with the dictatorship.
Right.
And I don't know, I would, as much as the West likes to really look down upon dictatorship, at least they had something. And they had a lot of they had a strong economy back then. Right now it's in complete chaos. They had a good education system back then. They really don't have much right now. They had at least like the only thing they were lacking was maybe the minorities didn't have as much say in government. But think about it now. All that's happening is arguing back and forth. The minorities still aren't going to get much more of a say. So, I mean, I think that aspect of stability is really important. And maybe like that revolution, even though we think it's such a good thing for democracy, I don't know if it was necessarily like the best thing for Egypt if you look at it, considering like the progression, the way it's been turning out.
See, I'm not that good in policies or mainly political business throughout the world. So can we go ahead and jump topics now? Is that all right with you? Because I'm making the viewers bored and pissed at this point. So which one do you want to talk about right now? YouTube, extinction, depression. You choose which one. They all sound so wonderful.
I think you want to talk about extinction.
Okay, extinction it is. So I'm gonna start out with the opening here. That cool?
Or yeah. No, you want to do that.
So I've been thinking about this for ages, about a year now, and I've been pondering the idea. The reason why we as human beings are very afraid of extinction, we're afraid to die. We're, for the most part, I mean, some people are not that afraid. People that go in the military are accepting their fate. But the reason why we as human beings are a bit more afraid to die, to go extinct as a species or just as a family, is because we realize it. And many animals can show self-awareness, but like one of the bigger YouTubers, Drifter, said to me, is we're not the best at it, and we're not the only ones. We're just better at it. And what that implies is that we are not the only ones, we're not the only species to think about this catastrophe that could end our whole entire species. Something that we as human beings have done in the past that could have made us all extinct for them, in a way, is the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust, for example. If that had spread across the world and they had massacred even more people, then at one point we would have ended ourselves, not just one race, for example, or one religion. At one point, we will all be extinct. And I'm rambling again. Go ahead. Take the floor. I'm sorry. I need to work out my thoughts here.
No, I think you're kind of right, but I don't see that other animals, like you were talking about before, I don't see that they necessarily have the means, or like we have technology far more sophisticated than any even self-aware animals have. Like to my knowledge, the most sophisticated technology that any animal has come up with is I know dolphins use like tools to help hunt fish and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I mean, that's not enough to be able to like kill another dolphin. Like
Right.
the most that happens in the animal kingdom is hand to hand, like paw to paw combat. A lion kills another lion. Like, but humans, we have this ability, this technology to kill people like by the millions. Like,
Right.
I mean, you keep mentioning the Holocaust. Like, that's what happened. We were able to, not
Massacre
we,
12,
but yeah,
12
but we
million.
as a species could
Yep.
just wipe out a huge fraction of our species in that like area, and it could be far worse. Imagine there was like a nuclear war during like the Cold War.
Oh, I have so much
That
to
could
talk about
be
that.
like millions and millions of people dead. So like I think the fact that we have the it's not that like we're necessarily concerned about us going extinct because we're more self-aware than other animals, but I think it's because we just have significantly like more sophisticated technology, and we understand that the risk of those technologies can be like complete chaos to our own species. Whereas like a dolphin that like or a lion or these animals that are very very sophisticated and complex biological creatures, they don't have that capacity to be like, and for the most part they don't even know just how vast their own species is, because there's dolphins like across the world, and but they're only really aware of like their
Their
geographical
pod.
region.
Right, their pod.
Yeah.
I'm going to touch on the nuclear war here. By the millions, there can only be 20 or so, about 24 nuclear missiles that can be launched into the atmosphere that can end our world at a time. If we launch 24 or more, then our ozone and atmosphere will dissipate. We will collapse as a world. We will not be able to survive at all. And with this being said, the people that created the first atom bombs, two of them, the Fat Man and the little boy that dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the scientists from across the world, not just one geographical place, all wanted to tell the nations that we want you to sign this petition. This is not to be used on human beings. We do not want this to be ever used on human beings. This is to only be used for testing or on other animals, but do not use this on human beings. And the destruction that it caused to Hiroshima, especially Nagasaki, wasn't that bad because of the mountains around it, and the little boy wasn't that powerful as the Fat Man, I believe. But the way these scientists knew the kind of destruction, the species of the human race that we can cause with these missiles to shred thousands. I believe we killed 7,000 in Hiroshima, 17,000, something like that, and it's nowhere near a fraction of Japan's population, but just how much one bomb can take out. The Tsar bomb, compared to the Hiroshima bomb, compared to the Tsar bomb and the Hiroshima bomb, the Tsar bomb can take out millions of people. It can take out New York City up to Boston if they really strategically planted it, and Washington to New York City. And with that kind of power, it's amazing to think that we as human beings have created the most powerful technology, the most powerful explosion ever to be observed and experimented on by man, yet we don't use it. And we are self-aware in that nature that we as human beings and as a species can cause that much destruction, that we have tried to prevent it and tried to have signed countries and nations to not use this on human beings. What I'm getting at here is that we are self-aware. We are extremely self-aware to the point to where we know that we can end our species at any point in time if we truly wanted to, or we truly had that kind of mind. If we launch 24 missiles up in the atmosphere, we're all dead. We're done. And it's that self-awareness that says we can't do that. No, only launch one at a time, if anything. But it's that kind of self-awareness that really has gotten to the species that we should only use it in very extreme point in time. if that makes sense. We
I
are
would be,
self-aware. We are very self-aware.
I would be curious to, like, hypothetically, let's say a monkey had the technology to kill every other monkey in the world. Like, what's the difference between us, like, dropping the bomb and killing millions? Like, is it because we have more remorse than these other animals? Is it because we have some sense of, like, morality that we shouldn't kill all these people and kill our own species?
Well,
Because like
go
I
on.
don't know, if other animals feel that way, and I don't think that humans felt that way. Like, okay, when we were really tribal creatures, we had a lot of, like, kind of like,
Conflicts.
anger or the conflict toward other tribes. But, like, now, if we think about it, even though it might be like, Russians, like 10 million Russians, we still feel remorse if we were to drop that, like, nuclear bomb on Russia or
Of
whatever
course,
country it would be.
because look at it this way. I'm going to start from the bare grounds here. We as a species have created such technology, not just from the bare ground, but from our own society. We have found morals that prevent us from doing certain things. The reason why we have not nuked the hell out of Afghanistan to kill Osama bin Laden, it's not moral, and it's not morally correct, and it's not politically correct. You don't nuke the shit out of the whole entire nation just to get one guy. And it's the morality that we have come up with as a society, not just one person going over there and saying, "Oh, I don't like that guy, chewing with his mouth full. That's nasty." It's a whole society that has created these morals that has caused us to not do these things. And the difference between us and a monkey is we are just better at understanding this. No ape, no monkey, no orangutan, no animal that we've ever observed has spoke out loud. No animal whatsoever has had a sophisticated conversation and asked us a question. Why is life the way it is, for example? An ape can ask for grapes. Yes, we realize that, and it has asked in the past, but for the most part, no species has ever asked a question out loud. And that is what I mean. They can't think, should I drop a bomb on Russia? No, because they don't know what Russia is. And the reason why we're able to do this and then feel bad about it is because you realize these people are not the bad people. North Korea citizens are not the bad people. It's the people that are raising them. It's the dictator that is raising them in the wrong way, and he's the bad guy, not the citizens. If that makes sense. I mean, am I rambling here, or did I get my point across? I think I got my point across.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes out, like, I kind of question why we consider it bad. Like, obviously, there's a ton of, like, moral philosophy and stuff, but what's the difference between dropping a nuke and killing 100 million or a million monkeys and killing a million people? Like, we have some sort of, like, I don't know, attachment to our own humans. Like, okay, think about it. We kill millions of cows every day just to eat because we
Right.
feel like it.
I love steak. Just saying.
But we would never do that for humans. We wouldn't kill a million humans to eat. Why
Because
not?
it's not morally correct. We know this and we understand it, and that's different from an ape saying, "I want grapes and I want to nuke the whole damn United States." I'm not saying that the ape.
Why isn't it that way? Why is it bad?
Because
Like, why do we understand it to be that way? What changed from us being monkeys to us being the way we are now? That suddenly we feel this, like, remorse for killing ourselves that we didn't feel before. Like, if a lion kills the other lion and they're fighting for the female, he doesn't feel remorse. I would think that he doesn't feel remorse for killing his own species because he, biologically he's the alpha male or whatever, and he gets to mate with the female.
well,
But we
actually, I'd
would
like to
feel
cut in.
remorse.
First off, we had a conversation like this a couple weeks ago, about a week
Did
ago.
we?
It was about the sexual reproduction. Like, it's our fault that we are doing this, and it's not a person that has no idea. I'm going to break into that and say the lion has no idea what it's doing. If it were to kill another lion in order to reproduce, it only knows reproduce, survive, thrive, and eat. That's all it knows to do. We as human beings are more sophisticated. At least we picture ourselves that way, although we don't act like that all the time. And we wouldn't. In one case, there's two cases I'd like to point out. One where we have no idea what we're doing, and sexual reproduction is what we're aiming for, so kill anything and everything that gets in our way but the female. The second case is, let's say your girlfriend is hypothetically speaking, swear to God I hope that never happens to anybody that's watching this right now, but let's say your girlfriend or boyfriend is getting raped, and you have to stop that, you have to prevent that, and you have a gun in your pocket legally. Would you or would you not shoot the person, the rapist? Whether killing them or not, would you or would you not?
Would I?
It's a rhetorical question. In
I
this case, as human beings that are more sophisticated and more self-aware than a lion that just knows to reproduce, would you take out that pistol and shoot him in the head, the stomach, the foot, or would you let it happen? And
but don't, like,
you're
to my
defending
knowledge, wouldn't that alpha lion like fight the, obviously there's some, it depends on the species, but there's obviously some competition for that reproduction. Like if you, let's say you were in the position that you would shoot the rapist to protect your own female, isn't that the kind of the same situation that you would beat the other lion up to?
You have a gun. You're already the alpha male, if you really wanted to be one. But really, we're more self-aware. I'm repeating myself. We're more self-aware, so we know that's not the right way. Let's look at it from a standpoint of a high school student, for example, and perhaps they're fighting over. There's two guys fighting over, this one chick, and she's like, "Oh no, don't fight over me," and they're like, "Shut up," and they start fighting. That's already like they're developing. Lions and humans do share characteristics. We're both self-aware to a certain point, and we both just know certain things. We have that instinct to reproduce. That's why men get erections, and that's why females have the certain desire. That's just how things are.
I think I wouldn't say that's a biological like instinct for sex. It's not a biological instinct for reproduction necessarily. Because we have sex for pleasure too. It's not like when we have a sexual feeling that we have a reproductive feeling. Like the two are kind of separate. I think we have a reproductive feeling. Like you said, we're really self-aware. We understand the difference between like just sexual pleasure or like having that instinct for sex and having the instinct for reproduction and having a kid. Because
that's your knowledge, and if it's someone that has no idea, no cultural influences, no traditional influences, no family influences, nothing but his own mind or her mind, and he has that feeling to sexually reproduce, or in any case just gets an erection out of nowhere, then he just knows, you know what, I think I want to have sex. And it's at this point, let's look at tribal times, they didn't have condoms. So it's rather reproducing, and they weren't smart enough to do the pull out before you finish your business kind of stuff. It's just a thing. You reproduce, and that's how animals are. If they have the sudden urge, it's time to reproduce, and that's how populations continue.
Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't you agree?
I think
we have the knowledge.
No, I agree, but I think.
But a person.
What I'm trying to say is it kind of changes the situation now that we know that it's different. Like, because we as humans, most humans, recognize like that, like reproduction is, like we understand what we're doing. We're not just like having the sex to have the sex and fulfill our biological needs. Like, if we want to have a kid, we do it to have the kid. Or we can do it like for the pleasure of it. So like I think the decision changes. Like that we have a choice, that we have a say in having a kid, rather than just being a slave to our biological pleasures, like a lion or whatever, and they just do it and then they end up having a kid out of that. We recognize that, oh, I'm having a kid and I'm making the conscious decision. Because we can like withhold our sexual urges. We can withhold our like reproductive capabilities if we want to. It's like more of a choice now.
Right, because we're more self-aware about it, and
Exactly.
the whole thing, like, we went from nuclear war to sexual reproduction. I guess we're just gonna jump boats here. Um, the the end top, like, the end result for the whole why do we feel remorse is, what I believe is the reason why we feel remorse for nuking a nation, for example, is because we know we just killed a lot of our population. We just massacred a lot of innocent people. I would not feel bad if Nazi Germany was only occupied by Nazis. No other citizens, just Nazis. And they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew they were killing off 12 million people. They knew exactly what they were doing. I would not
But
mind nuking the whole damn country, but if it's just, the United States, let's say I nuked New York, and I would never, but I'm afraid the NSA is listening, and that's why I'm saying this. But the reason why we feel remorse is because those are innocent species, like, those are our innocent people that we are
but
killing off.
you don't even know them. Like
But they're
I
still
don't know.
innocent. There's a 3-year-old in New York right now that has no idea what's happening. He or she just hears a boom. Her mommy or daddy says, "We love you. Close your eyes," and that's all that happens after that. And the
Like,
explosion kills them all.
I
It's
don't know.
that
I
logic.
feel like it's not as much as I want to accept that. I feel like that's not that easy to say. Just at least for me, it's not that easy to say. Oh, it's bad to kill like
But it is.
to. I mean, I like. I feel like it is, but think about it. Like, if you're a 3 year old, isn't that a pretty convenient way to die and like not feel anything? Or like, if you're any person, it's better than having a painful like death due to cancer or like some shit like that. Just like
Right,
being
but
nuked and suddenly you're gone.
right, but in this case, you killed off millions of people, not just one person that was. Yes, there are certain cases where, you know what, you're dying and it's hurting. I'm just going to pull the wire if you ask me to. There's a certain difference from that and just nuking innocent people for no God forbidden reason. And it's very immoral. It's
No,
not
what I
morally
mean, like,
correct.
no, I understand that, but I'm trying to say like maybe I'm not articulating myself well, but it feels like it's not just easy to make that assertion that oh, it's just bad to kill like 10 million people. Like you don't know them. Like for all you know, they could all be Nazis. And like I don't know why we have this kind of like conception that like killing our own species is somehow like crazily more like worse than killing any living thing or like this attachment that we have to humans like I was saying before, like we kill 1,000, 100,000, a million cows a day, and we don't feel any remorse. We've probably killed more cows than there are humans on the earth. But
Probably.
but
Probably.
like cows can still like die and feel the pain.
They
Like
can, but they
cows are
don't realize
still
what's happening whenever they're in
like you
that
were saying before,
slaughterhouse.
cows or any other animal or like whatever are still self-aware to
Degree.
some degree.
Right.
But like why is it so much more for humans is what I'm trying to say. Like I feel like it's almost judgmental to be saying like, "Oh, we can't kill 12 million Russians that are completely innocent. How can we kill 12 million monkeys that are
Because
completely
you're
innocent that are also
comparing.
self-aware?" No, no, but they're also self-aware. They also feel that pain and they also have some sense of morality that like, oh, I like
Don't
some
say that.
loyalty.
I don't say that. I mean, yes, loyalty to the pack, I would say, but for the most part, they don't have morals. I mean, like you said, a lion killing off another alpha lion for a female, they don't they don't have morals. Like, their mother does not slap them in the face for looking at a female lion's ass or anything. I mean, they don't have morals. And you're comparing a human life, which I believe the value of a human life is like 12 million, something like that, and you're versus a monkey, which they are
But why
reproducing.
why do we assign a monetary value to a human life or a monkey life?
Oh, we're
Like
getting into
what's
another
the
topic I'm not okay with. Like, I don't know any of this, so as far as I know,
okay, I'm
okay. So,
just playing devil's advocate, but you're
okay,
talking about
go on.
like these sweeping universals of like, oh, it's bad to kill 12 million people in another city by like just nuking them.
Tell you what.
But I'm saying for like other situations,
hold on.
it's the same thing, but you're not applying the same moral principles, which is what I have a problem with.
To the viewer, put in the comment section, would you nuke some other place? Would you nuke Vancouver?
No, I wouldn't either. I'm just saying.
Like, I would not.
No, I wouldn't either. Look, I'm just saying.
The Tsar Bomb is.
It's an assertion. It's like it's a principle that we're like saying blatantly that, like, I don't know. I can't. It's hard to justify, or it's hard to make it a universal to apply to everything. Right. Because what is it about these like people? Like, is it that they're self-aware? But like the monkeys are also self-aware. Is it that they're fellow human beings? Like what is it about those people that like you can't bear to see them like die, or not even see them die, just to know that they're dead in another country? And I'm not a terrorist. I'm not saying I would nuke them, but like I don't know. It's an ongoing thing. I'm like, I keep trying to justify, and I always come up with these like situations where like the principle that you're trying to talk about isn't like the same for every situation. If you know what I mean. Like, you're talking about like other animals being partially self-aware and whatnot. So what's different about killing those self-aware animals and killing humans? What if we nuked the monkeys? Would we like you? I know you or me. We probably wouldn't feel the same remorse that we do if we if we nuked the humans. Why? Why don't we feel the remorse? Like, I don't know. It doesn't. It's not okay, at least for me, to like make an assertion like that. Like, oh, it's just bad to kill all these people, because for whatever reason, I don't think it's that bad to kill 10 million monkeys, but I think it's bad to kill 10 million humans. Why? What's the difference? You know what I mean?
Because it's another human and you're betraying your own species versus another.
But what's different about our own species versus like the other species?
Because it's our species and we find it superior to other species, and killing off that just weakens our force.
But why is it our force? Like, shouldn't we respect all? Like, don't we respect all forms of life? Don't we rely on other like forms of life to have the like we need that biodiversity to have like a proper ecosystem? Like right, think about just like we have to eat plants to survive, and plants and animals, right?
Right,
and they have to eat something else. So I'm saying like we also rely on monkeys in some, like, maybe it's indirect, but we still rely on them in some way in the large environment, in the large grand scheme of things. Okay, so why is it different killing them than killing
Okay, let me give you a different example. Let's go ahead and nuke 10 million caterpillars. Do you still feel bad? Like really?
But why?
Answer. Do you really feel bad?
I don't feel bad, but
I don't feel bad. Those little buggers will just reproduce anyway.
Yeah, if it was like 10 million cockroaches, I'd be like cheering, like, nice, you killed 10 million. But why? Like, aren't cockroaches like living things? Shouldn't they deserve? Like,
okay, those things are creepy. I
mean, like, what do we have against these other forms of life that we feel a lower level of remorse and like morality and like responsibility to than the 10 million Russians across the world? Like, what if it was your pet like caterpillar that you knew and that was like your favorite, like he was like your bro, versus a human that you didn't know in another country that you never met in your life? Would you rather kill like your best friend caterpillar, or would you rather kill the human? I think you would still probably kill the caterpillar. Yeah. Why? You don't even know that guy. You have no relation to him. But you are very attached to the caterpillar.
Man. All right, we're hitting a dead end because we can't solve these questions. What was the one we were gonna get into? It was after like we came back from the sexual reproduction thing. But oh yes, no, I don't remember actually. New topic.